Hey guys, back. This time we're going to be taking a little more in-depth look at the Federation faction for Star Trek Ascendancy. Obviously, you know who the Federation is. They're the protagonists of all of Star Trek. Now, I'm always worried when there's a Star Trek themed game that they're going to be a little overpowered because they always overcome every obstacle that they come across eventually. And thankfully, that's not the case in Ascendancy. They're pretty well balanced. They have some strengths and some weaknesses, as all the factions should. And I just like the way that they balanced everything out for them. Now, for the most part, and this holds true for just about every faction in the game, they play exactly like you would expect from watching the show. Primarily, you're going to be focused on exploring early on and trying to discover phenomenon and other cultures, other planets that are already inhabited, in which case you gain bonuses from those. So I suppose we should go through that stuff first. So the first thing we should look at here is every race has a kind of hindrance and a bonus. For the Federation, their hindrance is the Prime Directive. They can never invade or colonize pre-warp inhabited systems. And then on the flip side, you gain extra culture whenever you draw a civilization exploration card or you discover a new phenomenon. So like I was saying, early on you're going to be primarily focused on exploring, discovering those new civilizations and finding those phenomenons. So the farther you spread out, the better chance you are of finding those. And every race starts with a starting advancement. In this case, for the Federation, we have the Universal Translator, and that's when attempting hegemony, we add +1 to our die roll. I always say that word wrong, so I give it up trying. But helps you peacefully add those civilizations that you come across to your empire here, or your federation, because you can't invade by our Prime Directive there. Still a nice bonus to have. Overall, early game with the Federation, you're going to start by branching out. You want to explore as far as possible, get branches going off Earth in every direction. You're ideally looking for low-level civilizations so you can get that culture bonus. You're looking for phenomenon so you can get that culture bonus. At the same time, because of all that, you're probably going to want to boost your shields up a little bit. Having higher shields means that if you run into those hazards in the various phenomenon, they're less likely to destroy your ships. Once you've got some phenomenons discovered and things like that, you're going to be wanting to farm those too and leaving your ships there, so the higher your shields are, the better chance of surviving and being able to farm those phenomenon for the research, which you can use towards your advancements projects. Generally, playing as a Federation, you're not going to go out looking for a fight. They're capable of defending themselves if you're provoked, but your smaller fleet sizes combined with a lack of military technology make you less likely to go on the offensive. And that can be a perk that you can use in your advantage, because people knowing that you're less likely to attack are more likely to set up trade agreements with you, which comes in handy. Keep in mind you do have generally smaller fleets than other races. You think your biggest fleet is 6 ships? While the fleets you do have access to are quite useful. So number 1 here, we have our science fleet. I don't know if you can read them on the camera, but this one here is our science fleet. And when that fleet braves its hazard, you only need to roll for one of the ships in the fleet. And it can stay in a phenomena and brave it each turn without having to spend a command, which is nice. So it lets you another way to farm those research tokens for our advancements. Fleet number 2 is our Colonization Fleet. And on your turn, you can discard a ship from that fleet, which will disband the fleet, but it immediately colonizes a undeveloped system without the requirement of spending a culture, which is huge. Generally, to colonize, you need to have a ship in the system. You spend the ship and a culture token, so it basically removes that culture, which is nice because culture is pretty much the key to victory, and the less of that you have to spend on things, the better. For the cost of a command to form a fleet, it's definitely well worth it. On to our third one. Our third one is our diplomatic fleet. The diplomatic fleet comes into play with our prime directive ability here to try our hegemony attempts on existing cultures to bring them into the Federation. That will give you a chance to re-roll in case you fail that roll. Nice little fleet, especially when used to kind of negate our prime directive weakness of our faction. On the flip side of all of these, there is a battle group, which is a combat themed. Ours do max out at 6, where the Klingons I think can go up to 10. A couple of the other factions have a 9. So we are going to be outgunned as far as ships go. These allow us to re-roll rolls to hit of 1. Not super powerful, but it is a nice little offensive bonus. Early game, these might come into play when people don't have 10 ships flying around in a fleet, but later on in the game, you're hopefully not going to be directly engaged in combat as the Federation, unless it's in a defensive role. So a lot of the stuff works together to play off our strengths and weaknesses here. Definitely going to be wanting to attempt to use the hegemony to bring systems in. We have our starting advancement combined with our diplomatic fleets to make that easier. As I said before, you want to boost up your shields to brave phenomenon and hazard systems you come to, and to defend yourself, because people will eventually attack. And having that boosted up allows you to farm those phenomena along with our science fleet, so we can start getting some of our advancements. The Federation doesn't have the best advancements available, but there are a few things in here that can help you out. Starfleet Academy will boost your shields for braving hazards. This will allow you to further farm phenomena to get more research for other projects. Advanced Stellar Cartography is a really nice one. Allows you to connect extra space lanes to systems beyond the number that's on the bottom of the system here. And a tactic of a lot of players is to box themselves in so they don't need to worry about being attacked from different angles from their rivals. They can make like only one access point to their area systems or block themselves off entirely, and this allows you to make a path to break that kind of system to force your way in there. Very nice one to have. Long-range sensor arrays helps you with your Exploring Strange New Worlds perk to get that extra culture by finding those phenomena. Let you look at two system disks and pick which one you want. Good way to help get phenomena on the board so you can then farm them. Orbital Research Laboratories is another good one to get into play, which basically gets you additional research every turn for each starbase you control. So mid-game or so, you want to get this out so you can get that extra research. You can put it towards other projects or funnel it into your weapons and shields. With the ability, once you get to Ascension level 3, you can build up to 3 stations here. You see you can be pulling in an extra 3 per turn. It adds up pretty quick. Other than that, an often overlooked one is the Cochrane Institute, which increases your impulse speed by 1. Now this doesn't seem like that great of one on the surface until you really dig in deep to it. Having an impulse speed of 3 now instead of 2 like the other races allows you to do a couple things that are really interesting. First off is you can traverse a two sector long warp lane at impulse speed, not having to use a command to go to warp and a command to drop back out of warp. So you can travel along those lanes that are only 2 spaces long without having to use 2 commands. You only need 1 command to move at impulse. That right there is a big bonus. The other big one is that if your impulse speed is faster than everyone else, if you're forced to leave a battle or you retreat from a battle, normally you move your impulse speed, they move their impulse speed, they're right back on top of you, they can re-attack you if they want to. If your impulse is faster than them, you can actually move farther away, and it's going to take them extra commands to catch back up to you in order to re-engage that fight. So it lets you do a lot of fights on your terms. I like that one. I think it's underappreciated because people don't use Impulse a lot, but when the time does come for it, it is well worth having. That's pretty much it for the basics of the Federation. Your main goal is exploration, to use your abilities here, explore strange new worlds. You want to find those phenomena, you want to find those civilizations, you want to bring them into your fold with the hegemony attempts that you get the bonus from the Translator and the Diplomatic Fleet. You can use the Colonization Fleet to save yourself culture while expanding your empire. You use the science fleets to farm those phenomena once you do find them. And altogether, that's your course for the victory. You can boost up your weapons. There are some offensive advancements in there and become an aggressive faction, but it's not really how they play well. Your best bet is to sit back, be non-threatening, get some good trade agreements going with people because they know you're not threatening, and just sit back and use the combination of those things to rake in your culture tokens and eventually get an Ascension victory out of them. Anyway, that's my take on the Federation faction for Star Trek Ascendancy. Hope it helps you when you're going to play, gives you a little bit of idea what kind of strategy to go for. And if you like these, we'll plan on doing one of them for each of the factions. So we'll see how it goes. Anyway, as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.